What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Grappling Bulletin podcast. Myself, Hal Teague, and it's only Corey Stockton here today in the studio because Chase Smith is no longer with us. What I actually mean by that, he's no longer in Austin, Texas. He is still alive and well. He's just relocated to California. He's going to be operating the Southern California Bureau for FloGrappling. That's a pretty cool gig.
It's too bad there's no good jiu-jitsu out there, really. It's a shame to lose him out of San Diego.
Sucks to be you, Chase, but, well, I'm sure you'll enjoy your new location. But yeah, we're going to hold it down from here on out. Me and Corey just running the show. Hopefully when Chase gets settled, he'll be able to start calling in and be our man on the ground there in that jiu-jitsu hotbed of Southern California. But the big topic today is, of course, the IBJJF World Championships. Because if you hadn't noticed, the 2022 IBJJF World Championships is just over 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's creeping up on us, right? It was just 6-7 months ago, and now it's back in its normally scheduled late May, early June, and back at the Walter Pyramid, which I think everybody in the jiu-jitsu world is incredibly excited about. That is the mecca of jiu-jitsu.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that's kind of hard to get my head around because it feels like we just had a World Championships. We just crowned a whole bunch of world champions in December of last year. But of course, that is not the traditional date for the World Championships. It historically has always taken place in late May, early June, sometimes right sort of straddling the 2 months. And the Worlds is scheduled to start on the 1st of June this year. And as Corey said, back to the Long Beach Pyramid. It's like the iconic Worlds venue, right?
Yeah, when you think of Worlds, I think, looking around the center, you can tell exactly where every team is going to be seated, where every team is going to be chanting from. And last year felt off. It felt like it was a different date, different time,
different energy,
different energy entirely in the room. And I think the Pyramid will bring it back out. The IBJJF calendar is flowing the way we've always expected it to. And I think it adds a layer of excitement to this World Championship.
Yeah, and we are very excited here because there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, first of all, and we'll talk about this a little later, you can see the topics for discussion for today right here. We have results and stuff to recap, but we also have things such as the return of one of the most fearsome world champions of the last decade. We have a clash of generations between old, established world champions with a new generation of guys coming through looking to make their legacy and a little bit else. But let's start off. I just want to kind of make sure that everybody knows that Worlds, that it's only 2 weeks away, but there's still a lot of competitions going on right now and right up to the Worlds. And you'll see a lot of people who are signed up or will sign up for Worlds are actively competing right now. And the reason for that is because the points that they can get from competing and hitting the podium in those tournaments, that actually has a real significance for when they compete at Worlds, right?
Yeah, it essentially directly impacts their seeding, right? So it's not just when they'll compete at Worlds, but also who they get to run into first match. I'm sure a lot of the even more established black belts would much rather see, a first-year black belt who maybe hasn't won too many titles versus somebody like your 3-time world champion who, if you don't have the points coming in, that's who you're getting.
Right, exactly. See, the number of ranking points that you have, that you accumulate through performances throughout the season directly influence your seed as you go into the bracket of major tournaments. And sometimes a couple of points difference is can mean, hitting, like you said, like a world champion in the first or second round or having a slightly easier path through that division. So it's important. So that's why people are out there competing right now. And of course, there are multiple tournaments taking place. I mean, there were no less than 4 IBJJF events last week on 3 different continents because you had the IBJJF Brazilian Nationals. We talked about that a week ago and they ran right through up until this weekend because the tournament is that big. You also had competitions in Paris, Chicago, and Denver. So all these IBJJF tournaments, let's just recap some of the biggest results. I think we'll start off with the fact that DreamArt, for the second year running, took the team trophy at the IBJJF Brazilian National Championships with 107 points for the adult male team standings. Now that, just to put it in perspective, is over double that of the second place Cicero Costa team that had 46 points. And DreamArt, they had champions at every belt level blue through black.
Yeah, maybe not surprising given what they've been able to do all year at Pans at a bunch of opens. But Dream Art trains like a professional team. They treat themselves and each other like professionals and a high level professional organization. Right? We got to see a little bit of that. Trey and Mike Sears were down in
got some clips later
down in Brazil. So go check those out on the site. Right? They're training. The vlog with them got a lot from them, and watching exactly how they prepare and how they treat competition.
No wonder they're winning the way they are. Really cool story to see is that at the Brazilian Nationals, this was just one of those moments that, of course, it's early days. You're not going to put too much hopes on somebody's career. They're just out there having fun and getting experience. But interesting to see that Sarah Galvão, Juvenile 1, 15 years old, is out there competing. Now, if the name sounds familiar, this is the daughter of Andre and Angelica Galvão. And she's out there cleaning up already. Look at this, double gold at the Brazilian Nationals. She won the blue belt medium heavyweight and the open class divisions. And she's making a name for herself. She's out there, she's competing regularly.
Yeah, cleaning up is right, because she did the same at Pans. I believe she was out at Euros as well. I could be wrong about that, but she's doing incredibly well. She's moving as you would expect the daughter of Andre and Angelica to move. Her jiu-jitsu looks incredibly sharp.
Yeah, it does. And, I think it's really cool because I spoke to Andre about this a while ago, and he was telling me about they never forced their daughter to do jiu-jitsu. They gave her the option. Like, hey, you can if you want, but no worries, no pressure. And she decided to do it herself because, she saw it. She obviously lived around that world, and she's like, yeah, why not? It looks cool. I'm going to give it a go. Turns out she's pretty good at it. Who'd have thought? Moving on. In Chicago, kind of interesting story here because the Czech Map black belts, Jansen Gomez and Adam Wodzinski, they actually closed out the absolute division. And Jansen took gold in the medium heavyweight division with just one match. Adam Wodzinski, gold in the super heavyweight division, moving up so that Gabriel Almeida could take gold at heavyweight. And then Jansen and Adam both had a couple matches each to meet in the finals, closing out. Now, Adam is a very, very well-known black belt at this stage, but Jansen on the come-up. It's nice to see him out there getting the experience before Worlds.
Yeah, Jansen has looked incredible throughout the color belt ranks, right? But it's good to see him competing at such a high level at black belt. I think he just needs a little more experience to be able to dial in. Of course, he was out at Pans. He lost to Leandro. That's not an easy match to win.
No shame in that.
But he looked good on the way up, right? He looked like he belonged to the black belt division. So good to see him getting his feet wet and preparing for Worlds.
Exactly. Getting those reps in before Worlds at every ounce of competition experience helps. Also, keep an eye out for Jansen because he is one of the cast members of our Who's Next series, which debuts or premieres on Wednesday. We'll talk about that a little later in today's show. Next up, just some results from in Denver because Pedro Machado and Felipe Trovo, they basically went 1-1. So Felipe Trovo of Atos, he beat Pedro Machado in the heavyweight final. And then they met again in the absolute final. And then Pedro Machado came back to win gold there. So Pedro Machado, a rookie black belt. Let's not forget that he was the double gold brown belt world champion in December of just last year. But I feel like he's one of those cases of a high-level brown belt who has immediately hit the ground running at black belt.
This is something we've talked about a lot, at least here, that the guys who win double gold at Worlds as a brown belt almost always become household names for years to come.
Yeah,
right?
It's true.
Pedro Machado looks like he's building that reputation already. He looked another rookie black belt that had a really standout weekend at Pans before losing to a more experienced veteran. But just absolute submission artist, great guard game, great passing game, really dynamic and impressive style to watch.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do at Worlds when he gets in the mix. Obviously, you have to consider that he's moving into a very stacked division indeed. He's actually he's not signed up currently. I think he's still in the process of getting his points, but I would be surprised if he didn't sign up. And then, for me, this is the standout news from the weekend because, of course, there's a lot of significant results from the gi scene, but there are also a handful of no-gi tournaments running at the same time because the IBJJF, what they'll often do is have an open and they'll run both gi and no-gi divisions. Now, the truth is, during the gi season, those no-gi divisions, they're not particularly busy. There are usually only a couple of people signed up. There's usually only 1 or 2 matches per division. They're very much a sort of an afterthought compared to the gi divisions. That's where really all the action is taking place as people are getting into the swing of things, building up that competition intensity and rhythm, heading into Worlds. So we were, let's call it, a little bit surprised to see two-time ADCC champion JT Torres returning to action at the Denver No-Gi Open, competing alongside his Essential Jiu-Jitsu students and teammates, and taking or closing out the gold medal with his teammate in both the medium heavyweight and the absolute divisions. Now, JT Torres, Corey, when was his last match?
The ADCC final in 2019, so over 2.5 years ago now. And while some guys are getting ready for Worlds, JT very clearly has one thing on his mind, and that's ADCC stepping into the no-gi arena again, knocking the cobwebs out.
2.5 years. It has been 2.5 years since we saw JT Torres on the competition mats. He is one of the best American black belts of recent years. This guy is a phenomenon. He is the one of the only Americans to become a 2-time ADCC champion. And of course, there's a lot of talk about JT doing the three-peat in 2022. I mean, we were talking about this immediately after his gold medal performance in 2019. It was like, JT, are you going to do it? Are you going to become the only American champion to win the same weight class 3 consecutive ADCC years? And he's like, thinking about it.
Here's the thing about that, though, is the 77 kilogram division is always stacked to ADCC, but this year has a little extra spice on it, right? This might be the deepest division of any weight class I've ever seen at ADCC.
Yes, it is no exaggeration to say that 77 is possibly the most competitive division when you look at it. You know, you consider the amount of people, the returning champions, the invitees, and of course the trials winners as well. It is incredibly stacked. But JT is very much the top dog in that division. He is the man to beat. He is the returning champion. But of course, 2.5 years without competing, that's a very, very, very long time. Now, JT's not the kind of guy to just come in cold. He's going to want to get some tune-ups. And the one thing that we wanted to highlight about this performance here is that when JT competed in the absolute division, he ended up competing against João Costa of Fight Sports in the semi-final. Now, put this in perspective, João Costa was the ADCC South American Trials winner, but not at 77 kilos, right,
No,
Corey?
that was at under 99 kilos, so a whole 50 pounds heavier.
He is a whole 2 weight divisions heavier than JT Torres. The 77 kilo champion just beat the guy who qualified by winning the hyper competitive, the uber tough South American trials at under 99 kilos. And he didn't just beat him. He went 12-0 and submitted him with a knee bar.
That JT style, right? Pressure, you could destroy the cardio, destroy the gas tank, and then put the attack on.
Incredible performance from the 2-time ADCC champ. Very excited indeed to see exactly what JT has planned for 2022. Hopefully we can get out to Essential Jiu-Jitsu in New York and take a look at his training camp for ADCC. That would be a really special one. But yeah, just a phenomenal performance from a phenomenal athlete and somebody we're very excited to see back in action. So that's it right now from the IBJJF results recap. It's time to look forward because Worlds being just 2 weeks away. What we've seen is a number of names start to appear on the list of registrations. Now, I want to kind of break it down a little bit before we get too much into who's in which divisions, because there's something of like there are some games afoot, all right? The couple of weeks leading into the World Championships, it's like this flurry of activity behind the scenes. It's like the game has already begun, because what you'll have people trying to trick each other, and they'll hang off right up until the last minute before signing up, so you're not exactly sure which weight division they'll go to. They'll even sign up in the wrong weight division and then change it right the last minute, so they'll kind of like keep you on your toes exactly where they're going to compete. And they even have some kind of trickery as well, that they can appear on the list of signups almost 48 hours after the registration deadline has come. And this is all just, like I say, it's kind of designed to confuse, kind of, get in their opponents' heads and stuff leading into the tournament. But it's fun for us because these 2 weeks, what we do is we just sit there hitting refresh on that list of registrations, right?
Yeah, and they keep coming in. Just before the show, we had about a dozen new guys enter in.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're looking at some serious talent coming into the divisions. Every day you'll see new names come in, and there is one name that has been on the list for a while. There's no hiding here. He's very straightforward with his intentions, and it was kind of exciting to see it. But the ultra heavyweight division has one very, very big, very, very powerful name signed up. And that is Urba Santos, the wolf, the big bad wolf. One of the most dangerous, intimidating, physically dominant champions of black belts that you could possibly see in action over the last 10 years. This guy is a monster. People hate seeing him in their bracket. And you go up against this guy, be prepared for nothing short of a straight up fight. Because Urbeth is a bad, bad man. And he is competing at his first IBJJF World Championship since 2017. Now, why is that year significant, Corey?
2017, two big things happened for Urbeth. One, he won a world championship, and two, he competed under the Atos banner.
So 5 years have passed. 5 years have passed, and that is a long time in jiu-jitsu. But it seems like a lot has happened specifically with Urbeth Santos in this time. And it would be impossible to catalog the various events in Urbeth's life and career right here today in this show. Because he's had a bit of a roller coaster ride. And we've tried documenting it at times here on FloGrappling. We've talked about it a lot. But the truth is, he hasn't had the best couple of years. His performances have been really hit or miss. Very hot and cold. He's built up a reputation as either being a world beater, somebody who can just snap your arm off in the blink of an eye, or somebody who quits mid-match for somewhat vague reasons. And he's talked a little bit about it. It seems that there have been some psychological or possibly mental health issues at play. He's changed teams a number of times over the last couple of years. He's been left without real kind of training to get where he needs to be. He's moved around. He's opened his own gym. He's closed his own gym. There's been just one thing after the other for this guy. But he's back training in San Diego. He's back at the Atos gym, where he trained and won his first world title in 2017. Now, that was an incredible year for Urbeth Santos. He won World Pro, and he won the IBJJF World Championships in that year. He amassed, even halfway through the year, he already had 50 black belt wins to his name halfway through that season. So that was prime Urbeth. The question is, do we think that a world's training camp under the supervision of Andre Galvao and alongside all the other high-level black belts that they have there at Atos, do you think that it's even possible for Urbeth Santos to get back to that same level?
I think if there's a place for him to do it, it is in Atos in San Diego, because training at San Diego, right, isn't just about the quality of the room. Of course, it's a tough room. There's a lot of tough competitors who are going to push him to the edge. But it's also training with Andre Galvao, right? Andre is going to help Urbeth get to and stay in the mental space he needs to be to perform at maximum capacity, to perform at his best ability. And I think if Urbeth has a shot at winning another world championship, it's under Andre Galvao.
So Urbeth Santos has got the skills to win a world championship, no doubt. He's got the physical tools. He's one of the most fearsome athletes in the game. Incredibly fast, dynamic, huge, strong, you name it. And he's competing, or he's signed up, we should note, in the ultra heavyweight division. Now, he won gold in the super heavyweight back in 2017, but the ultra heavyweight division, let's talk a little bit about some of the opponents currently signed up who he could potentially face. So, a couple of standout names. Roosevelt Souza of Fight Sports. You got Wallace Costa of GF Team. And Victor Hugo, the 2021 world champion, returning. Now, if Urbeth has decided to compete at the World Championships, he's competed a very difficult division to enter.
Yeah, but as far as the ultra heavyweight division goes, I think this is probably the most open-ended the ultra heavyweight division has been in half a decade at least.
Now, why would
right?
that be, Corey?
Buchecha, for now the second time running, is out of competition. So this is not Buchecha's game. He's retired. This is a division for somebody else to step up and grab. And of course, there are a lot of big names in there that can do it, right? Victor Hugo for one, Roosevelt Souza, also guys that we expect to enter in, Gutenberg Pereira, Mason Fowler, maybe Nicholas Mergali, who knows, Cyborg Lovato. The list goes on. But that's the point, is it's anybody's game. It's not a one-man show anymore.
Which it was for a very long time. The ultra heavyweight division was dominated by one man. Marcus Buchecha Almeida had, pun intended, a chokehold on the ultra heavyweight division for that time period right there. And now that he's moved on to MMA and he's no longer competing in the gi in the IBJJF tournaments, yes, like you said, it opens up the possibility for somebody else to come through. Now, I'm sure that Victor Hugo would like to come back and prove that the events of the 2021 World Championships should be laid to rest. And the kind of the circumstances by which he found himself in the final, of course, that notorious, the infamous moment that Nicholas Marigali was disqualified retroactively after winning the semi-final match against Victor Hugo, enabled Victor Hugo to come back into the finals and win the gold medal. So I think that Victor Hugo will want to make a statement. He's going to want to win that division. But we've never seen Victor Hugo versus Herbert Santos. In fact, I don't think we've seen Herbert Santos versus any of the names on this list, because it's been a while since we've seen Herbert compete against world-class competition. And times have changed. So this is the question. Can Herbert return to the kind of form necessary to win the World Championships? How will he fare against the names that are signed up in this ultra heavyweight division, this new generation, this wave of competitors looking to make their mark on jiu-jitsu? And how does he plan to establish himself as a two-time world champion? You're going to find out in a couple of weeks, but it's going to be unmissable. For me, whatever happens with Herbert at Worlds, I will be watching very, very closely.
No, the Herbert show is a can't miss. It's a can't miss match no matter who he's up against. He kind of reminds me of like the ultra heavyweight meaner version of Roberto Jimenez, just so unpredictable. So you don't know what he's gonna do. Right, he can whip out a submission at any moment, and that's what makes him exciting to watch.
Got a couple of good comments here in the YouTube live chat. A quick shout out to our live viewers. Of course, we love receiving messages here while we're on the air, and we love being able to chat to you. Victor Doria, holding it down there in Fight Sports Miami, is giving us a little bit of inside info. Roosevelt is unstoppable in the gym currently. People are avoiding him. I am not surprised. He is a very, very good competitor. I'm very excited to see what Roosevelt can do in his first IBJJF World Championships as a black belt in the gi. Of course, he was based in Brazil for a long time. He was out of the country, hadn't competed in the US since he was a brown belt. So very excited to see what he's going to do in the black belt divisions. A little quote here from, or a little comment here from Sauerkraut as well. I have faith in an Andre Galvao coached Herbert. I predict some good results. Now, that is definitely a key fact that we have to consider. That under the supervision of Andre Galvao, one of the best champions in the history, a gi or no gi, Andre Galvao is also one of those rare black belts who can coach others up to the same level of success. Now, not everybody's able to do that. Few people are able to produce multiple world champions out of one gym. Andre Galvao has produced countless world champions while also being one of the very best black belts in the world himself. So you have to think that if Herbert could possibly achieve that level of performance, that he's chosen a very good place to be. Well, we mentioned a little bit about how Herbert is now representative of a somewhat older generation. And of course, we mentioned earlier about how there is a wave of younger competitors coming through looking to make their mark on the IBJJF World Championship. So it's time to talk about this. As you can see right here, Clash of Generations. So what I like about this, Corey, is the fact that you have got a number of world champions right now, and this may have changed since we put the list together this morning, There were 9 former world champions signed up. 4 men, 5 women, putting their names forward early. And then you've got some who are representatives of the older generation, and then others who won gold for the first time in just December and are back for more already. Guys like
Fabricio Andre, right? Victor Hugo, Melissa Cueto, Gabby McComb, Anna Rodriguez won her first last year.
So these are all first-year world champions. These are all guys who are poised to return, and they're looking to make sure that, hey, if you thought that I won in a year when things were a little bit quieter or what have you, no. They're coming back and they're looking to make a statement. We got some good clips of these guys that we can play while we're talking about this, because this World Championships for me, it was by no means a lesser version of the World Championships. It was by no means a reduced version of the World Championships. But I feel like, as we talked about earlier, because the energy was different, because it wasn't in the pyramid, I almost feel like a lot of these new champions are going to be coming back. And it's almost like, hey, you know what? I want to win the real World Championships. I want to go to the pyramid. I want to win it there, the iconic venue, because it just hits different.
It does seem like these incoming reigning champions, especially the ones who won it for the first time last year, have something to prove, right? There was, it was, like you said, by no means a lesser Worlds than the normal Worlds. However, with that many first-time world champions hitting in the same year, there might be a statement that needs to be made, right? I think at the end of last year, we discovered that more first-time world champions were crowned last year than in the previous, I think, something like 14 years.
Phenomenal. And you had, of course, big names, again, pun intended, such as Victor Hugo, the Mountain, Fabricio Andre, Anna Rodriguez, a number of really standout competitors taking gold in their first World Championships as black belts. But then look at some of the names who are representing that, I hate to say older, but the more established generation. Shanji Hibero is back. And Shanji has told us that win or lose, this will be his last World Championships competing as an adult black belt. You also have Herbert Santos. Last time he competed at Worlds, just said, 2017. Also have Anna Carolina, 3-time IBJJF world champion. I would say 3 or 4. It could be 4 actually. But you have some amazing competitors signed up, and I think that this is a kind of year when we're gonna really find out which way Jiu-Jitsu is going. Is this new generation poised to take over completely? Are they going to usher in a new era? Are they going to push out the older world champions? Are they going to say, guys, it's time for you to retire, leave it for us? Is that what we expect to see here?
You know what? I've been kind of suggesting this for the last couple of years, but I think that we're seeing more and more turnover regardless of what division, what category. So I think the era of 3, 4, 5, 6-time world champions is long behind us. I think most of these guys have a shot for 1 or 2, and then they're going to be pushed aside. I think the jiu-jitsu is evolving so quickly. The up-and-coming brown belts and purple belts are already eyeing the black belts and getting ready for their time there. So I think even the black belts who won their first title last year are going to be hunkering down to defend it.
Yeah, because it's not easy. It's one thing winning, but then it's a totally different case of maintaining that top spot. Saw some great quotes with Lucas Lepre from the podcast. I forget which podcast. I think it was the BJJ. Oh man, I forget the podcast. But he was basically saying about how he went through kind of like almost like an identity crisis after winning the World Championship, because he went from being that guy who was out there trying to prove himself to being that guy, and he's like, man, I feel like I got this gigantic target on my back and all the pressure that came with it, and he felt like I couldn't lose anymore. I felt like I wasn't able to lose a match because people would be like, wow, why is that world champion losing? Maybe he's not everything he's cracked up to be and stuff. So it's got to be a tough proposition to be under for sure. But I think it's exciting times. I think it's really, really interesting to see this wave of competitors come through and just throw everything in there onto the mats in the competition, and just see what happens. Just see how things shake out, because it's so unclear exactly who is going to reign and who's going to come out of this upcoming Worlds as the champion. We'll see. We'll find out. And Anna Carolina Vieira is a 4-time world champion. I just double checked. So So, speaking of the World Championships, the Road to Worlds. The Road to Worlds is, again, as we said last week, one of our favorite times of the year because it's time when we get to go into all these different locations. And right now, you have Mike and Trey are just killing it down in Brazil. They are absolutely killing it. They're bouncing around. They were at Brasileiros. They were in Sao Paulo. They went to Dream Art. They went to see a couple of the ADCC competitors, such as Bianca Basilio. And then they flew up to Manaus in the Amazon region. They went to visit Melky Galvao's school to see Mika, Fabricio Andre, Diogo Hayes, Brendo Larissa, Luis Paulo, and all those amazing black belts there. Now they flew down. They were in Rio. They were hanging out with Gutenberg Pereira and surfing on the beach with Mason Fowler. They went over to see Beatriz Mesquita in Saquarema with Patrick Gaudio, ADCC competitors. So, there's a lot happening right now. There is a lot going on. They're gathering some amazing content from in Brazil as part of the early stages of the Road to Worlds Tour. And Trey's vlogging it while we're on the way. But it's not just Trey vlogging it, because we had a special little takeover. Pato Cam, Diego Pato Oliveira, the 2021 IBJJF World Champion, borrowed Trey's camera for a little section of his own for the latest episode of the vlog. Roll the clip, take a look at this.
What's up, guys? I'm here with Dreamart in Dreamart. This is my friend Pedro. He's a Pan Am champion, light feather. Vai, fala aí.
I will be the best light feather in the world after this guy.
What's up, galeroso? I'm here with Bolinho, the little cake, the champ of the European Open class and the division.
What you doing over there?
Vlog. Qual foi, galera? Estou tentando trabalhar. Acho que só, deu.
Pato Cam.
Now we finish the vlog here with galerosos. Yeah, é nóis.
That's just a little taste of what to expect from the full episode. The latest episode of the vlog takes you inside Dream Art. And we're just saying, one of the top gyms in not just Sao Paulo, but the world, right?
Yeah, and it's a great way to see it, right? To see the way they train and how specifically they train for their specific game plan, but also how they live, right? You gotta look behind the scenes of like their dorm rooms and just how tight-knit everything is inside Dream Art.
That's always one of my favorite things. Now you can see here, this is some of the rolling footage from inside the Dream Art Academy in Sao Paulo. And, this is a professional training facility. These guys, they train, they live there, they study, they have a whole support network for everything geared towards their athletic performance and development. And I love going inside these kind of places because you really see what the secret sauce is. You really see what these guys are doing different that make them world class. And the truth is, often it's nothing secret. It's just done very specifically and very well, and that's obviously the difference between being just a world-class team and any old regular jiu-jitsu gym. But we have some clips from here. We have full training rounds with Nicolas Marigali, with Isaac Bayens, with Eric Muniz, some of the heavy hitters from Dream Art, right?
Yeah, and there are quite a few of them. You mentioned Eric Muniz and Nicolas Marigali, but the whole team is loaded. This is why they're putting. This is why they're winning team titles, and this is why they're coming out looking to win the world's team title this year.
Now, one of the other successful teams that we've featured in our Road to Worlds is Fight Sports Manaus. Of course, under the supervision of Melky Galvao, the black belt coach, we have guys like Fabricio Andre, 2021 IBJJF featherweight world champion, putting a beating on poor old Michael there. I got to say, I appreciate Mike sacrificing himself, putting his body on the line for our entertainment here.
And not just in these light rolls, right? This first clip here, he told Fabricio, 1 minute go 100% on me, and it looks like he regretted that.
Yeah, not easy. We have training rounds with Diogo Hayes, you can see here on top in the white gi, Fabricio Andre, Mika Galvao, and more. And again, interesting to go inside one of the best gyms in Brazil, and interesting to see how these guys train, because jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu. You can go anywhere in the world and you can find good jiu-jitsu. But what makes people world champions, what makes people special, is often the devil is in the details, let's say. And being able to get this kind of access into world-class gyms, this is something pretty special. Not everybody's able to watch world champions train.
Yeah, and this is a look behind the scenes of really what the work looks like, right? Because you can sit there and watch people compete and get a little bit out of their competition strategy, but seeing the reps and the thought process behind what makes those moves work on the biggest stage is really, it's a special glimpse you don't often get.
Yeah, that time training as well. It's like, as you said, you'll see people do things that they wouldn't normally do in a competition. You'll see them experiment. You'll see them often refine techniques over and over through drilling and such. And you can learn a lot from doing that. And, well, we have a lot of training videos on our website right now that I would highly recommend checking out and getting a sense of exactly what makes these guys so good. And then another gym a little closer to home. This is, of course, here in Austin, Texas. Just a couple of minutes from here. Six Blades. We actually have a footage from their World Training Camp, and I believe that you're working on that right now, Corey. And we have Shanji Ribeiro, Victor Hugo, and Rafael Lovato Jr., as you can see here. Now, how does that stack up compared to the training that we saw in the other locations?
So definitely a little bit of a smaller room, but the same intent, right? They're working on specific training. We got to see Victor deal with a little bit of a shark tank, and they're working on getting the big bodies in there for him to really test his technique and his technical ability. Shanji, of course, one of the most refined and smooth flowing competitors at any weight class, despite the fact that he's older than most of the people in his division or in worlds in general. But just kind of watching the way that they focus still on the minute details and trying to just polish up all the techniques. A room full of big guys, and they move like small guys, and that's always what you want to see from people that size.
Yeah, and very, very cool comment here in our YouTube live chat from user Panther. The secret sauce is hard work and dedication, surrounded by a team and coaches doing the exact same. And I think it's right. There are very few secrets in jiu-jitsu. There are very few truly guarded secrets, and I think people are often a little bit blind to what's happening right in front of them. And when you see these guys training, you realize that they roll just like us, so they train just like us, but they often do so with a really specific objective. Every time that they train, they have clear goals. They know exactly what it is they're going to do. It's very purposeful training, and I think that's what separates a lot of these guys separates them from the amateurs. Even the hobbyists.
Exactly right. And the intention is everything, right? Because you go in there thinking, oh, they train hard, I'm going to train hard. But the professional athletes train to develop something specific. And it's not necessarily they're rolling 100% every time, but they're rolling with 100% purposefulness in their technique every time.
So, Road to Worlds, we have more episodes of the vlogs coming very soon from Manaus, from Six Blades, and many other locations as well. Now that Chase has landed in Southern California as well, there's going to be some stuff coming out of there. Of course, there are many, many big gyms to hit around that area, so we'll be doing a full tour of the region. But let's take a little diversion now, because we talked pretty much exclusively about the gi today. Well, don't forget that Who's Next is coming up. And the premiere takes place on Wednesday. Now, believe that there's a special way that you can get early access to the episodes before they drop on our website. What is that, Corey?
Go to who'snextrealityshow.com, sign up for the newsletter, and maybe you'll see the episodes a day early.
Oh, there you go. A little pro tip for you. Go to the website, who'snextrealityshow.com, sign up, and you can get early access. You can get a first look at the episodes before they drop for the wider public. But the show features 16 people entering into a competition, and they'll be competing against each other via a series of challenges and no time limit submission only matches to determine who is the next submission fighter. And we've got some interesting clips here because the two team coaches are Craig Jones and Tim Spriggs. Now, two very strong personalities, very different personalities in their own way. So let's meet the coaches first of all, and then we'll hear from them talking about each other.
Up first, the current Who's Number 1 heavyweight champion, a.k.a. the Mushmaster, a.k.a. Blast Double Poppy, a.k.a. the Best Match Machine, Tim Spriggs.
What's up, boys? The champ is here, baby!
Tim Spriggs been around forever. He's won a whole bunch of stuff in the sport, but what really surprised me was Who's Number 1 championship last year when he submitted Kainan Duarte in the final to become the heavyweight champ. He's got the heavyweight strap. In all sports, the heavyweight belt is what everybody wants, and that's what Tim Spriggs has got. So yeah, he's calling the shots right now.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today? Ready to get famous? Yeah, let's go, man. I'm ready to see you guys kick some ass today. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I wish I had it when I was coming up like you fellas. I'm really excited to see you guys put on some beautiful jiu-jitsu. It's an honor, really. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And coaching against him, one of the most feared submission hunters on the planet, ADCC silver medalist, and Australia's deadliest mammal, Craig Jones.
Yeah, Craig, in my opinion, one of the coolest guys in the sport. You can actually hang out with him and talk about stuff other than jiu-jitsu. Always making me laugh, always making each other laugh, and also great competitor, very fun to watch. And I'm really excited to see Craig Jones teach because he's kind of a leg lock guru, and I want to see what kind of heel hook stuff he's going to show the guys.
Ready for me to go on? The best.
I have to admit, I'm probably the only guy in the world with a Tim Spriggs t-shirt.
It's all right. It's cute that he put my name on his shirt. Hopefully he gives me a cut of the proceeds.
I really wanted to coach against Tim Spriggs because I wanted to have a match against him.
I think that Craig Jones is a funny guy.
I'm out here just to shut him up because he's kind of an annoying figure in the sport.
He seems to be a huge fan of mine because he can't keep my name out of his mouth. And I don't blame him. I'm the #1 guy in the world right now.
And I think as you guys watch the show, you're going to see what an idiot he really is.
He keeps calling me out. I think it's kind of cute. He's just another groupie of mine. But I know how to deal with that.
I think Who's Next is going to be massive for the jiu-jitsu community because most of the jiu-jitsu guys, we just see them compete and give boring interviews. But Who's Next is going to showcase them throughout the day in challenging experiences, how they cope with pressure, how they cope with living with people they're going to have to potentially fight. So we're really going to see some big personalities emerge from this and get some more stars to the sport. There's really not too many stars in the sport. There's a whole lot of boring people, and I think these guys are going to wipe those guys out.
I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. The idea of a baby face and a heel is important for all sports because anyone can watch an athletic contest, but you need to be emotionally invested in what you're watching. And what better emotional investment than an actual athletic contest with people that aren't playing a character? This is me. The guys on this show, this is them. This is the real them. And they're going out there and they're risking life and limb. Danger. And they're going against people that they don't like.
Well, that is a sneak look at a little of episode 1, which, like I say, drops Wednesday, May 18th. Go to who'snextseries.com and you can sign up via the email and you can get early access to those episodes before they come out. Now, we've been lucky enough to get something of a kind of a look at the episodes in progress, you know, sort of over the last couple of weeks, an early look at various episodes throughout the season. And it's special. It's something completely different to anything that's been done in grappling before, right?
Yeah, it's incredibly unique. I don't want to say too much because there's so many spoilers that are just sitting, waiting to come out of my mouth. But the personalities, the action, the cast of characters, and a lot of the tension in between the coaches, the athletes, it's it's incredible.
It's
It's
legit.
really, yeah.
And the matches as well are something else, because don't forget that these are no time limit submission only matches. The only way to win is by submission. And no spoilers, but those matches, they could be 30 seconds long. They could be 3 hours long. There are no limits here. When there's no time limit and it's just one person, it's depending on one person giving up via submission, anything can happen. So really, really exciting. Go to who'snextseries.com. Go check out a look at all of the cast members, the various people who are part of this, the coaches, Craig Jones and Tim Spriggs. Get an idea of what to expect. And the first episode drops Wednesday, May 18th. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be episode 1 and 2 will drop on Wednesday. And then every Wednesday after that, going to have episodes coming through. Cannot wait. I cannot recommend this highly enough. It's going to be really cool. Guys, that's it from today's episode of the Grappling Bulletin. Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for everybody who tuned in on the YouTube live chat. Some great questions, some great conversation in there today. Some great tips as well. Actually, we had some of the users suggesting if you want to talk about purposeful practice, go read the book called Peak. Thank you very much, Leonardo, for suggesting that one. I'll be checking that out. But people really do seem to like seeing inside those high-level gyms and seeing exactly what it is that makes these guys good. So, great show. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.